Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to go through my trades ahead of round 6 for AFL Supercoach. Let's get into it. So I'm going to say first of all, it's bucketing down right now, so apologies if the audio is a bit bad. I'll try to speak up to cover the rain. And secondly, there's a lot more injury carnage. So I think we left the round wrap knowing of Dev Rob's ACL, but since then, as you can see by the thumbnail, Jack Lukosius, Connor Buderick, and Noah Anderson are all ruled out to injury. All three of them have the red and white little circles here, which is just, I don't think I can think of a season that has been mad by injuries this badly. There's just been so many people throughout the course of the season that we've had to trade out because they've gotten injured or they've gotten suspended. And now we have 4 more to add to that list. And if you saw the thumbnail, I'm using my last boost. And it sucks, but it's just, there's too much injury. And if you saw the round wrap, if you didn't, recommend checking it out. But if you did, you would have seen that I traded Connor Buderick and Jack Lukosius to Christian Petrarca and Flynn Perez. And I'm still going to maintain these trades because I think Christian Petrarca, it was rumored that he was ready to go for Gather Round, but Dimmer didn't want him playing. And I'm just going to move Took Miller and Cozzy Pickett down to the forward line. But I think he should come back in pretty much 100% against Essendon. Couldn't ask for a better matchup. At People's First Stadium, actually. Home game for them. And I reckon he's going to light it up. But now that we have Noah Anderson out, I'm going to trade him as well. I just need an excuse to get rid of this guy because he's been a cancer in my side. He has done absolutely nothing since round 1. He's got an average of 97. He's dropped to 540k. He's lost all his value. He's going to lose even more. He's out for 2 weeks at least with that appendix surgery. And so I am going to go and complete my forward line. But I wasn't quite confident with who because I've been tossing up between Zach Bailey and Josh Rochelle. Both of which, as you can see by the 3-round average, are on pretty hot streaks right now. Both coming off basically 130s. Both play that similar half-forward midfield role. But I have, in the end, gone with Josh Rochelle. The reason is that mainly he is 55k cheaper. And that's massive because I'm going to let you guys in on what my trade plans look like for next round. And I'm pretty excited by them. But they do rely heavily on that 55k. Then also, I think there's the fact that Zach Bailey plays in a much more crowded midfield. In that Brisbane midfield, you've got Neil, Dunkley, Will Ashcroft, Levi Ashcroft, Hugh McCluggage, Cam Rayner, all of them. But Josh Rochelle, it's basically Jordan Dawson, then maybe Isaac Rankin, then him probably. And so I think he's the third string in the midfield. And you can see, I think his midfield minutes increased at this Geelong game. And he's stayed pretty steadily through these 3 games where he's scored the most. Search up DFS. Close my other tabs. If we look at CBAs right here, you can see after that round 2 match against the Dogs, his CBAs increased to basically 50% plus. And that correlates with his increase in scoring. If he keeps this role, I reckon he'll be a keeper. Zach Bailey could also be a keeper, but I think just with that lower price, he edges Bailey out for me. And so these are what my trades are looking like going into this round. Now, they are still subject to change because, first of all, I'm going to run a loop with Jagger Smith and then with Braden Cook. And if Jagger Smith scores a bad score, let's say below 60, I might be tempted to trade him out. And it all relates to what my trades are looking like for next round. And so I'll whip up the calculator and run you guys through it. So from these trades, I hold over 179,500. And 113,000 of those dollars are going to be used to get not Milan Murdoch, Angus Anderson. Because he is the best rookie. So good, people are actually going on him early this round. But I'm not going to do that because last time I did that, they got injured. But that leaves me with 66K. And it also leaves me with a bunch of high value rookies, a bunch of rookies that have a lot of cash on them that I'm looking to get rid of. And I'll put them all on the bench. Got Jagger Smith, Braden Cook, and Dev Rob. And I think Dev Rob has to go. To add 251,000 to that 66,000. And then I'm going to trade out Braden Cook because I want to trade out Cook more than Jagger Smith. Of course, if Jagger Smith drops a stinker, I might look to trade him out. And so that might affect who I bring in over Rochelle or Zach Bailey. But I'll go Cook for now. And I'll say he makes about 10K. So he gets to 285,000. So add 285,000 to this. And that gets me 602K. And I think with that 602K, I'm going to go and grab Nazaya Wanganeen-Milera because, of course, my forward line's finished, but my back line is looking quite grim. I have 4 rookies on field, which is maybe one too many, I think. And I want to start beefing out this bit. And so I think Naz helps me do that. He also has the West Coast matchup after that game. He's got West Coast, then he's got Carlton, which are 2 teams in distress, then Gold Coast, but then he's got Richmond. So it's a pretty good run for Naz. Shouldn't get tagged in these 2 games. Probably won't get tagged against Dimmer because Dimmer doesn't tag. And then Dimmer's old team, Richmond, I don't think they're good enough to warrant using a tag. There have been news that Max Michaelini is going to be running with him. So I would hold off one more round on Naz if you want to get him in, which is what I'm doing. But I'm making sure I get him in next round. And so let's say he gets, with that break even, let's say he moves up by basically 4K, gets to 580. If I make the trade to get Zach Bailey, I can't facilitate that trade from Cook and Robinson, which means I'd probably have to trade Jagger Smith and Devon Robinson. Jagger Smith and Braden Cook. And I don't really want to do that because I don't want to hold Dev Rob that much longer because he's not making cash. But if Jagger Smith does drop a stinker, then I might do that. The likelihood of me doing that, though, is pretty low. Of course, if I do, I'll update on Twitter. But these are what the trades are looking like for me. These are the trades I think I'm going to run with. And so if you think they're good, comment down below. But now we are going to go to the injury list because there are a lot of new updates. As you can see, Dev Rob here with his knee. Really unfortunate. Gutted for him. You know, he was looking so good. He's looking like he'd reinvented himself. But unfortunately, injuries. So, for Adelaide, Jake Saligo is a test, which is very interesting as someone who's brought in Josh Rochelle, because, of course, we go back to these CBAs. Saligo, of course, hasn't had any CBAs, but ever since he's gone out, he's freed up a lot more CBAs for the likes of Rankin and Dawson, meaning they won't have to dig in to Josh Rochelle's CBAs. So on Jordan Dawson, absolutely gutted for the guy. It was tragic what happened. And there has also been rumours that Jordan Dawson might not play, which is completely understandable given what has happened to him. But that might also that might indirectly boost someone like Rochelle's score. But Jake Soligo is a test. That might affect him. Dan Curtin almost coming back. That might also affect Rochelle, but I wouldn't assume that much. I'd assume Curtin maybe starts on the wing till he gets up to steam. Of course, Kalachi, a couple of weeks out. Jordan Butts could be back. Luke Pedler could be back. Does that affect a Worrell, maybe? Going down to Brisbane, nothing really new here. Dane Zorko calf. So if you have him, trade him out, I'd reckon, because, yeah, it was just a pretty bad game from Dane Zorko. Carlton, nothing's changed. Collingwood, DeGoey out with a concussion. So if you took a gamble on him, it hasn't paid off. Nothing else really here. Darcy Moore back in a week or two. Might affect Houston. Essendon, nothing really here. Fremantle, of course, Sean Darcy out with a concussion. I am praying that Mason Cox does not come in because they're versing Freo. West Coast is versing Freo. Freo is versing West Coast. And if Jackson's solo rucking, this is going to be a heck of a lot more than 130. But nothing else really. I mean, Hayden Young might come back, does affect a Caleb Sarong or an Andy Brayshaw if they play him in the midfield. Might also affect a Jordan Clark if they play him down back. To Geelong, Paddy Dangerfield, Jack Henry are potentially coming back. Could affect midfield rotations like sort of Bruin, Holmes, although he wasn't playing midfield last game, and maybe Baz. James Waterpool, I reckon, also should retain his spot, so it might be a bit crowded in that midfield, although Paddy Dangerfield, as of late, has been playing forward. Go to Gold Coast, Jack Rogers a test, Christian Petrarca, of course, back, Bailey Humphrey back from his suspension, so a lot of new faces in, or a lot of fresh faces in. Anderson coming out. You'd assume Anderson for track is a straight swap. Bailey Humphrey, Jake Rogers potentially coming in might affect the Leo Lombard, and Leo Lombard might lose his spot. For Giants, of course, unfortunately, Aaron Cadman got a concussion. Not really anything close to coming back. Stephen Cornelio as well. So if you have him, he's another trade out. There's so many this round. Marbiel Chol is out, which means I think Aiden Schubert or Will McCabe might come in. 4 to 6 weeks as well means if Aiden Schubert comes in, I mean, both of them are rookie priced. So if anyone but Cal Shadir comes back in, then, and if they stay for 4 to 6 weeks, that could be a decent cash cow. Could be a decent rookie option. Melbourne, it's already been revealed that Xavier Taylor is going to debut and to cover for Christian Salem. So one to look at. I was very bullish on him earlier on. And I think he's a top talent. Of course, Chanku Jayath coming back might affect his role, but I wouldn't expect it to. Nothing else really here. North Melbourne, Tristan Cherry has one more game on his suspension. Finn O'Sullivan still TBC. Riley Hardman potentially coming back. Might affect likes of a McKercher, but you wouldn't expect it that much. Lockie Dovison also should come back. 6 goals in the VFL, 6 goals in against the AFL Academy side is quite big, but nothing else really there. Port Adelaide, Jack Lukosius, of course, is out. Yeah, this looks grim. There's a lot of starters. Jack Lukosius, Sam Powell-Pepper, Radaglia, Rosie, Sin. I wouldn't consider him a starter, but yeah, a lot of sizable names. I wouldn't say big names, but a lot of people here. This is not good. Shuffling Todd Marshall forward and inserting Brandon Zerk-Thatcher into defense seems the logical move against Sunday's trip to Marvel Stadium. No, please don't do that. Todd Marshall is too good down back to lose to a forward role. He still has cash to make. He's averaging, 70? Keep him down back, please, because he's a failed forward. The Todd Marshall forward has failed. They should keep him down back. Hopefully, Brendan Zerk-Thatcher doesn't nudge Todd Marshall out, and hopefully they can coexist. Going down to Richmond, just a lot of young players on this list, unfortunately for them. A lot of draftees. Samson Ryan is expected to be available, but Oliver Hayes-Brown did do quite well. Could be an option next round if you're looking to double downgrade and if you don't have Angus Anderson. St Kilda, Jack McRae, Liam Stocker coming back. Does that affect the Jack Carroll? I know he had a pretty good game last game, but you never know. Also, McRae could affect the likes of a Flanders or an Azai Wanganeen-Malira being inserted into that midfield. Sydney, nothing. West Coast, of course. Milan Murdoch's a test. Devon Robinson's ACL. Elliot Yeo is a test as well. So hopefully Milan Murdoch comes back, picks back up where he left off. Of course, it's a big game against Freo, a game that West Coast have actually historically done pretty decently at. I mean, I think back to maybe it was 2024 where they won. It was an upset win. Harley Reid did really well against them. But hopefully Milan Murdoch can rise to the occasion like he did in that North game. And hopefully he comes back off this injury well. Then for the Bulldogs, another source of a lot of injury carnage. Connor Buderick is out. Tim English is a test. Richards is a test. Lib is a test. And I think there's someone else who does not appear to be on this list. I think it was maybe Trelaw. Someone else. I think it's said that English and Richards won't be playing or is unlikely to play. Libba is likely to play. So who do they play against? They are playing against Geelong. Might affect whether you put a VC on the likes of a Baz or a Holmes. Speaking of VCs, who am I going? Because you see a very big number right here besides Max Gawn's name, which makes putting the C on him look quite good. You get quite an elevated score here, especially if you put someone like a Jagger Smith on field, moves up. If you move a Cook on field for Farrow. Wait, no, what? No, I don't want that. Oh, what have I done? But I think for the VCs for this round, I am very tempted to chuck a VC on Christian Petrarca coming back against Essendon. Because there's a lot of good matchups. There is a heck of a lot of good matchups. You have Nick Dacos against Carlton. Big game. You've got, of course, the Geelong boys, maybe a Bont at GMBA Stadium. Heaney against Giants, although I probably wouldn't lean towards that because of the Bedford tag. Then you've got Christian Petrarca against Essendon. Could be a big score, but might get managed. Butters maybe against Hawthorn. Not really sure if there's any obvious picks here. But then Harry Sheasel. If we go back to last year, that historic game, 185 Supercoach points, I think it's safe to put it on him, especially given that their tagger in Finn O'Sullivan is out. So I think Harry Sheasel is a very safe VC option. And then for the C, this is all subject to change, but I'm going to put it on Luke Jackson. I think if Mason Cox is named, I might change it. But it's still West Coast, which midfielders have gone well against West Coast. So have Rucks. Rucks have gone historically well. with the massive Tristan Cherry score and the massive Brody Grundy score. I think I probably will keep it like this. Hope he doesn't play. And because Luke Jackson, I want a massive score from him. We look at the last couple matchups, 123, 165, and then a 90. Very, very big opportunity for him here. And this is it. This is what the team is going to look like. Barring any massive shakeups like a Flynn Perez being dropped or just whatever happens. If you like the video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, drop what your trade thoughts are down in the comments. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Happy coaching.